the last few weeks have given you like the energy of sitting in the waiting room of your own life, flipping through the same magazine, waiting for your name to get called, and it just keeps not happening, or your number to get called. 832 is your number, but they said 830, 831, 833. Where the hell is 832? Just this is the energy a lot of people are also probably feeling. So just kind of stay with me for this whole episode because I think that stretch is about to end this week, but I don't think it's ending quietly. I think it's going to end in a way that only shows up about once every 10 years. So, hi, this is the astrology of it all. I'm Jakayla. Grab your coffee or your wine or whatever the hell you want to drink while you let me talk at you. Because we have a real one today, so I think, we should go ahead and get into it. So, I want to do this properly. I don't want to just throw 3 dates at you and tell you it's a big week and move on because I don't think that's why you're here. I think you're here if you want to be here because you actually want to understand what's moving in the sky and why it lands on you the way it does. So, let me build it piece by piece. So, here's the headline first, and then we'll take it apart. This week, 3 separate things happen almost on top of each other. So the sun moves into Leo on July 22nd, Mercury goes direct on July 23rd, and Jupiter's already sitting in Leo and has been for a while, basically amplifying everything the sign touches. So those 3 things stacking up inside a couple of days is what I've been kind of calling the green light week. And by the end of this episode, I want you to understand not just that is happening, but what each piece is doing, how they work together, and the one big catch that keeps us honest. So let's start where the last few weeks actually started. I think we're going to start with Mercury in retrograde. That should be the next slide. Perfect. Okay. So let's talk about even the phrase, because I think Mercury retrograde, the phrase has been dragged so hard online that some people flinch when they hear it. Mercury in retrograde has it not become like the punchline you'll blame when your text doesn't send or your ex reappears. And I get it because I do think it's funny and I use it in the same way, but I do think that sometimes the meme version can do a disservice to the phase of life that it is, because it's not random. It is a phase. And sometimes we can start to feel like retrograde is just some random chaos that you have to survive. But no, think about it. As people, we don't just act forever. We act, and then at some point we pull back and we review. We look at what we did. We rethink about it. We revise it, and then you go again. At least if you're an overthinker, you definitely do this process in your life. But retrograde is the pullback part of that cycle, right? It's the review mode, and it's built in. So for the last few weeks, the assignment has not been about making big, bold moves, but instead to go over things, go back over it. And if you're paying attention to your own life, you may have felt this. You may have reread your own messages 3 times before sending them, second guessing choices you thought you already made, waiting on answers that just don't ever end up coming from people who never respond, and sometimes things that just never get quite resolved. Conversations sometimes will come looping back around where old stuff will resurface. Maybe someone from your past slid back in. Maybe a project you thought was dead came back to your desk. All of those things could occur, but the thing that I really want you to hear is that foggy, slow, stuck feeling is not necessarily you failing or being lazy, behind, or off your game, but it could be the season that is supposed to be foggy. Maybe you're supposed to be reviewing, not launching. Maybe if you spent the last few days frustrated that you couldn't get traction, maybe you should let yourself off the hook for that right now, because maybe the traction was never going to be there, because maybe that was not the phase you were in. So if you could do me a favor and kind of hold on to that feeling, like the waiting room energy, because I think the light is going to change on you, and we're still going to be talking about it a little bit more. So, green light number 1, the sun enters Leo on July 22nd. That's the first thing that's going to shift. It's going to be the sun moving into Leo on July 22nd, and this will be the official start of Leo season. But before anybody reduces Leo season to all right, this is the loud, dramatic, selfie time of the year, I kind of want to tell you what it actually is, because I think the real version is just so much more useful to all of us. So, Leo season is peak summer light, full stop. It's the point in the year when the days are at their longest and the sun is at its absolute strongest. Physically, what the season is. And a lot of the zodiac itself comes from a lot of this. Not come from, but I want to be very clear. I don't know, The zodiac is just not some random set of personality boxes someone invented. I think we can all agree on that, right? Some of the stuff from the zodiac comes from generation after generation of people watching what the earth does as the sun moves through the year and kind of building language for how each phase of that cycle actually feels to live inside. Watching the light and the climate move through a full year over and over and naming patterns. I think that's kind of where I'm trying to get at. But like, there's a lot of pattern recognition across the whole solar cycle that we end up putting into 12 of the signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. 12 phases of the year, 12 cycles, 12 different types of seasons, even if we only have technically 4 seasons. But when we get to Leo, we're at the full visibility phase of that cycle where the light is at its loudest, where everything's lit up, exposed, out in the open. So of course the season reads as bold and visible and center stage. This is not some personality trope somebody just slaps onto the sign. That's what maximum light does. When everything around you is lit up, you get seen, whether you signed up for it or not. So the practical version of green light number 1 is you're stepping into the most visible, most lit up season of the entire year. Whatever you put forward now gets more light on it than it would at almost any other point. And that's leverage if you use it on purpose. Now let's talk about green light 2. Mercury goes direct. This is where the timing is almost too good, if you get what I'm saying. So the very next day after the sun goes into Leo on July 23rd, Mercury's going to be going direct. Retrograde is going to be ending. The review mode is going to be closing. The fog I spent 5 minutes describing to you will be starting to lift. And I really want you to sit with that timing because I think it's the part that makes the week special. The fog doesn't lift in some random dead stretch of the calendar. It lifts one day after the brightest season of the year opens up. So the exact moment the light hits its peak is the same moment the brakes come off of your decision making. And when you think about what that means practically, that means that all of the stuff that you have been reviewing, rethinking, sitting on, waiting on, all that energy that has had nowhere to go for weeks, suddenly may have somewhere to go, boys and girls. The road could start to clear. Momentum could start to come out, come back, and it could come back fast. The thing that you may have shelved, you may be able to pick it back up. The message you drafted never sent, you may be able to send it. The choice you kept circling, you may be able to actually make it. And that's why I keep saying the fog lifting is not some metaphor I made up just to sound nice. Instead, it's a real change in the pace of things, landing right on top of the brightest season. 2 green lights, back to back. Now, let's talk about green light 3, Jupiter and Leo, the once a decade part. And this is the piece that I think makes 226 different from any other regular Leo season. Is Jupiter. Jupiter's already in Leo. It's been there since last year. And the last time Jupiter was in Leo was back in 2014. So this is the first pass it's made through this sign in over a decade. So in plain terms, this is basically what Jupiter does. It amplifies. It expands. It takes whatever's sitting in it and it turns the volume up on it. It's the part of the sky where things get bigger, more louder, more generous, more abundant. So when we line it up, we have Leo season, which is already the most visible, most lit up stretch of the year. And Jupiter is sitting right there in Leo, turning the volume up on all of it. Everything Leo season already does, Jupiter is amplifying. The visibility is amplified. The boldness, the chance for something to actually grow while the light is on it is amplified. And that's why this is a once a decade lineup and not just a nice normal week. In a normal year, you get Leo season and Mercury going direct, and that's like typically a solid stretch on its own. But you don't usually get all of that landing at the same time that Jupiter, the biggest amplifier in the sky, is parked in the exact sign, making all of it bigger. This specific stack is rare, and that's the reason I want to give this its own episode instead of just like a 2-line mention. And one more thing on Jupiter, because I think it matters for how you pace yourself. So Jupiter stays in Leo, amplifying all of this through the middle of 2027. So this is not some 1-week firework. This is more of an opening of a long, wide runway, which does bring me to the catch. So on July 26th, Saturn stations retrograde, and it stays retrograde all the way through December. Now, Saturn is your opposite energy from everything I've been describing. Where Jupiter kind of says bigger, Saturn instead says slower, boys and girls. Saturn is more structure, patience, the part of the sky that crosses arms and says, show me the foundation before you build another floor on top of it. It's like the speed limit, the part that inquires, are you sure that this is solid? So let's look at the shape of the week real quick, all right? Because we got this roaring green light I've just spent like 10 minutes talking about on the 22nd and 23rd, where the light is peaking, the fog is lifting, Jupiter's amplifying everything. And then 3 days later on the 26th, you have Saturn quietly reaching over and tapping the brakes for the rest of the year. Now, I don't want you to kind of hear that as bad news, and I really don't want you to hear it as a contradiction that cancels the green light out that we've just been talking about, because it doesn't cancel anything. Instead, let's look at it more as an instruction manual. Saturn going backwards is not saying stop, it's telling you where to point all that green light momentum so you don't waste it. Now, here's the translation. This is not the week to start 10 brand new things, Jacayla. I mean, you guys, Jacayla, from scratch, because you finally can. That's the trap. The green light, it can feel so good after weeks of fog that the temptation can be to sprint in every direction at once. And Saturn station retrograde is specifically telling you not to do that. Instead, take one thing that you've been building this year, the one you keep circling and reviewing during retrograde, and push that one thing forward with everything you've got. Momentum on top, patience underneath. Both of those are true at the same time this week. And I think holding both is the whole skill. So what should you actually do? Let me be concrete, because I don't want you to close this episode with a nice feeling and no plan. So I've come up with little things of how to actually use this week. Number 1, move what you paused. Make a short list now in your head, on paper, of everything you put on hold during the last few weeks. Maybe it's a message you didn't send, a choice you kept dodging, a project you shelved. This week is your week and your window to pick those up and move those. The fog lifting is literally the green light to come back to them. So pick one and just move it this week. Number 2, let yourself be seen on purpose. Leo season is going to pull you to visibility whether you like it or not, okay? Because that's what peak light does. So you basically got 2 options. You can shrink from it and feel exposed, or you can decide what you actually want eyes on and put that forward now while the light is doing the heavy lifting for you. So pick the thing you're proud of, put it where people can see it, and this is the week for it. The third thing is to refine, not scatter. Jacayla. This is Saturn's rule, and it is the one that people ignore. A green light is not the same as no speed limit, right? So don't confuse permission to move with permission to do everything. Do one thing fully, and that's going to beat 10 things that you're trying to do in a halfway manner, especially this week. And the fourth thing is to pace yourself, because this runway, it goes all the way into 2027. That's how long Jupiter will be amplifying Leo. So you don't have to spend every drop of energy into the next 7 days. This is the opening of a long season, not the only day the store is open, is what I'm trying to say, all right? So you can move with urgency, sure, but I don't think you should be moving with panic. Now, a little prompt I want you guys to sit with. I've done this often, but if you journal or if you've been just thinking the shower, the bathtub, here's a question I want you to carry out this episode. What have I been keeping in review mode that's actually ready to move now? Not what should you start? What are you ready to finish is what this question is trying to get at. That distinction, I think, is the entire week. And I will come back with my answer next time I record. I don't know when that will be. But before I let you go, I want to place this in a bigger story, because this week is kind of more of the opening move, not the whole story. So right around the corner, we're about to have an Aquarius full moon on July 29th. And then not long after that, Leo is about to eclipse on August the 12th. So the light you're stepping into this week doesn't have to flare up and disappear. It keeps building through both of those points. The full moon and the eclipse, they're going to raise the stakes on everything Leo season kicks off right now. So treat this week as the front edge of something bigger. What you move now, while the green light is fresh and Jupiter's amplifying and the fog has just been lifted, that's what you'll be carrying into the full moon and the eclipse. So if you can, start it clean. But that's for the next couple of episodes. For right now, here's all you need to know. The light just changed. The waiting room is closed. The fog is gone. You've got a green light, and Jupiter has its foot near the gas, and Saturn is just riding the brake beside you to keep you honest. So go, move the thing. That is the astrology of it all. I'll see you next time. If you guys want to, I thought I made another slide for it, but I guess I did not do what I thought I did. But your chart is a timestamp, okay? The seasonal blueprint mini is what that timestamp means. It is $29 PDF. You get it in about 5 to 7 days. It's written from your actual birth chart data, and it goes over 3 seasonal layers at once, how you love, and the patterns are baked in from birth. I will break the third wall for a second here. Take you to my handy dandy notebook, more like website. You can go straight to my website, cosmicallycreated.com. I have the seasonal blueprint for their own sale. There's an audio version and just a regular version. So you can go through all of that beautiful information. And the mini is right here. So that is another avenue. And then, wait, there's more. We also have stickers. So we have bundles. You can shop by sign. Yeah. And then if you really wanted to instead, there's also an Etsy page where you can go and you can buy the singles. So there's a lot of fun stuff there to work off with. Let me know if you guys want me to add anything else you'd like to see, for me to make, create. I'm down. I'm here. I love what I do. And who's ever listening, I love you too. Anyway, I hope you have an amazing day. And that is the astrology of it all. I will, of course, see you guys next time.